Hello and welcome. My name is Mihai Nakshu and I'm the Business Development Manager here at BIDA. Firstly, I'd like to say thank you very much for coming along and watching our latest video today. I really appreciate your attention, so thank you very much for that. Today's video is going to be the very detailed demonstration of our prior summary video about Meta 5 and Excel reporting. Okay? The prior video we just released talks at a very high level. It is just a 10-minute video that shows you that it is possible to create what is called a Meta 5 capsule. Capsules can run in your ETL stream after all your data is prepared, and capsules can create manual reports. Capsules can send out individual, customized Excel dashboard containing only the data that is necessary for the individual people who are the users of those dashboards. These dashboards are then sent out via such tools as OneDrive, and then your OneDrive distributes the reports according to the rules that have been defined. Your users receive their Excel dashboard via such mechanism as the OneDrive or SharePoint portal, or whatever mechanism it is being used to receive reports. Even email is supported, and the placement of those Excel reports in folders is controlled through the capsule. The prior demonstration was to show you at a high level that this is possible, this is viable, and gives you the ability to do Excel reporting out to the masses across your company faster, cheaper, and better. So, if you have a large number of users who want Excel reports across your organization and it is costing you time, effort, and trouble to do that, or if you have to be linked back to an SSIS server for them to do that, and you have to have high-speed connections, what this demonstration shows you is that it is possible to produce Excel spreadsheets in a centralized location, say near your data warehouse or near ERP, then put it into OneDrive and have the OneDrive send it out to the users ready and waiting for them at 9 o'clock in the morning when they come into work. Okay? That is what the previous demonstration was all about. Today's demonstration is the details of showing you how that is possible. How do we do it? This is a demonstration for the more technical people who are asking, what makes Meta 5 different to SSIS? Why would we use Meta 5? That's what we're going to show you today. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. So here we are on my Meta 5 workstation desktop, and this is just the starter edition. And you can see I've opened up a folder called AdventureWorks. Inside that folder, I have another folder called Report Examples, and inside that folder, I have a capsule with AdventureWorks Example Report 01. This is the capsule that I'm going to show you today. Okay? Now, the first thing we have is this thing called a sales territory query. This is a query icon, and we'll open it up. We click on Show Controls, and you can see this is dim sales territory out of the AdventureWorks database. It is getting us all the territories except the NA one. We're calling the result at AA, which is called a capsule variable. We'll turn on Capture SQL so you can see what's going on. We'll hit Show Data, and you can see the SQL that has been issued. It has done a select distinct dim sales territory dot sales territory group from dim sales territory where not dim sales territory is equal to NA order by dim sales territory. So, a simple SQL statement to get the sales territory group from the AdventureWorks database. Now, I'll show you the query catalog. These are all the tables available in the AdventureWorks sample database. You have the product subcategory, order date, due date, ship date, currency, employee, product, product category, promotion, reseller, sales reason, sales territory, fact internet sales, and fact reseller sales. Now, you should recognize these from the AdventureWorks database. If you're watching this video, you should be familiar with the SQL Server and the AdventureWorks sample database. So that's our query catalog, and we can query any of those tables. Now, what this capsule does is, it sends those three records, one at a time, into the second capsule. It sends them through the arrow into the region name controls of the second capsule. These are the control variables of the receiving capsule. It is setting the region name into @AA, which is a variable. So when I open up the capsule and I click on Show Controls and I go to @AA, you can see Sales Territory Group. You can see it is set to Pacific, which was the last value from the previous run of the capsule. I want you to understand that it runs the capsule 3 times. We call it iterations of the capsule, and it runs that capsule and sets that variable. Now, in front of you, you have a fairly strange thing that you've probably never seen before. Capsules are 40 years old. They were invented in the early 80s, and they were the first real graphical programmable environment to build applications in, and many companies have copied the capsule idea. For example, if you look at DataStage or Informatica, you will see they've copied the Meta 5 capsule. So, let us say you want to build a dashboard. Let us go and look at a finished dashboard. And we come over here to Europe, and we're going to open up this example dashboard, and we're going to look at what's inside it. So, your user comes to you and says, "Hi Mihai, I want you to build a dashboard with the reseller order amounts and the internet sales amounts from the AdventureWorks database. And I want it by region, and I want it to show the categories and the currencies and the countries and these sort of things. Mihai, can you do that for me, please?" And the user gives you a sketch of this sort of report and says, "This is what I want it to look like." Okay, let's say that happens. So you sit down and say, okay, the user wants a new dashboard, and he has given me a description of what needs to be on it, and maybe he's created a sample Excel dashboard and it's my job to build it. And the user wants it distributed out to the individual region managers. How do I do all of that? Well, think about how do you do that today. And we're going to show you how that is done with Meta 5 tomorrow. On the left-hand side, all the normal things with Dashboard are supported. I can click on multi-select for country and then click on France, and it's going to give me the data for France as well as for the United Kingdom. I can click on Germany and it will show me the data for Germany. I've got multiple currencies selected, which is adding up different currencies, which doesn't make a lot of sense, of course. So if I click on euros, it's going to show me euros. If I click on British pounds, it's going to show me pounds. If I click on US dollars, it is going to show me US dollars. I can click on bike, and it's just going to show me bikes. So let us have a look inside this spreadsheet, just to see what's in there. We're going to go into Power Pivot, and we're going to look into the data model. We're going to click on Manage Data Model and look inside the data model to see what's there. And we're going to look at the diagram view. So, what are we having here? We have the years dimension with years, a months dimension with month number and month name, a countries dimension with country, a product categories dimension with product key and product category, a currency dimension with currency key and currency. And we have a sales fact table. The gray fields means they're hidden from tools. We have the sales group, the country, the region, the product subcategory, the reseller order amount, and the internet order amount. That is what we have in our little mini fact table. Of course, with Power Pivot for Excel, I can have lots of dimension tables and lots of mini fact tables. I can have them all linked together, and I can have the slicers linked to these dimension tables. Okay, to get my final Excel workbook working, I need years, months, countries, product categories, currencies, and sales facts. Now, if I'm working in a mature data warehousing environment, maybe I already have an SSIS cube that has this information in it. Maybe I can just link my Excel spreadsheet to that cube. Or maybe I have a well-developed data warehousing environment and a well-developed way of getting this data, and I can dump the data into Excel and build this dashboard. Maybe, right? Today, what we're going to show you is how to do this with Meta 5. obviously, when we go over to data view and we click on years dim, there are the years. We can click on months dim, and there are the months. We can click on countries, and there are the countries. And remember, for countries, this is only after the selection from the regions has been done. Notice that this data is just for the European region. We click on product categories, and there are the categories. We click on currencies, and there are the currency. And lastly, sales facts. Now, in sales facts, if we scroll down, we see 1,629 records. And you can see the grayed out columns are the columns that can be presented to a tool. And indeed, we could drop the grayed out columns from the data to have list data in the table. We've kept them in the workbook just so you can see they're there. Now, we come over to the right to the product subcategory, and we can see the reseller order amounts. And if we scroll down a bit, we can see the internet order amounts. We can take out the grayed out fields if we want to, but this is just an example to show you what is possible. So this dashboard is what the user wants, and he wants it distributed to the correct users across the network. And let us say they just want the data in the workbook for the person who is using the workbook. Let us say that's what the user wants. How would you do it with BIDA5? This is called a BIDA5 capsule, and what we're going to do today is we're going to go through this in detail to show you exactly how would you produce the finished Excel dashboard. We're not going to show you the construction of the dashboard itself. We're going to show you how the data gets into the dashboard to then be used inside the dashboard, supported by the ability to be distributed across a OneDrive network. You could use other ways of distributing dashboards, we're just using OneDrive as an example. You saw inside the Excel dashboard we had years, months, countries, product categories, and currencies. And you can see the capsules labeled with these names. So we open up years, and you see this little visual programming environment. We open up years query icon and click on show controls, and you can see the query for years. We see the order calendar year, and we've restricted it just to 2012 and 2013 because that's all the data there is inside the AdventureWorks database. We'll select Capture SQL so you can watch this. We'll click on Show Data, and you can see the SQL was generated and run. And you can hit pause and read the SQL generated for yourself. So the BIDA5 query tool returned me the years, and then it has sent the years into the spreadsheet next to the query tool. You can see the data is in the spreadsheet, and then it runs an icon called Removed Header. It says rows to delete, and it deletes one row, being the header row. We have another spreadsheet which is called headings, and it says year. Why do we have this? Well, if we come along later and we change the description of a column in the BIDA5 dictionary, that name change will throw through the capsule into the workbook. This will then cause a problem in the workbook. So we must create a fixed heading name that will never change and cannot be accidentally changed in the BIDA5 dictionary. So in the final spreadsheet, in this capsule, we see two small regions for the heading year and one for the heading of the data for the two years that we have. And then the data goes along to the arrow out to this icon called years. The out icon sends the data out to this little capsule into a capturing spreadsheet. If we click on the arrow, you can see that it is copying data from the region name years. That is the little out icon inside the years capsule. In the target spreadsheet, we have the year heading and then 2012 and 2013 as the 2 years. That is the dimension table for the years that is going to wind up in the Excel spreadsheet. Then we have months, and we can click on Show Data, and we can see months 1 through 12 and January through December. And we can see the headings month, num, and month. And we see the final spreadsheet with month, num, and month being sent to the months out arrow. And we see the arrow is reading the data from the region name months in the source capsule and sending it to the target spreadsheet. So in the month spreadsheet, we have month, num, and month, 1 through 12, and January through December. Okay, do you see how that works? Same with countries. Now, with countries is a little different because when we look at the query for the countries, we see at AA set as the constraints for the sales territory group. If we click on Capture SQL and we click on Show Data, we'll see Australia as the return country, and we'll see in the SQL that the constraint on the sales territory group of Pacific. The @AA variable has inherited the value Pacific and sent to the database to get just the countries for the territory group Pacific. So, whatever constraints we want to place on a query to the database, we feed those values into the capsule through the controls, and they come from the controlling query. Then, we would produce a spreadsheet just for Pacific. Again, we have headings for country, and we're going to have the final spreadsheet contain the heading country and the value Australia. So the countries are sent to this spreadsheet. Next, we have product categories. And you can see product category keys and values. And this is going to be the data in the dimension table in the Power Query for product categories. We open up the capturing spreadsheet and we can see product category key and product category values. And then we have currencies. In the database, there is a long list of currencies, but there are only sales records for a small number of currencies. The rest of the currencies will be ignored by the slicers because there are no sales records for them. In the currency spreadsheet, you can see currency key and currency value. These are the dimension tables that are going to be in the Power Query, which are going to be attached to your slicers. So, your business user says, I want these slicers on my dashboard and I want these charts sliced by these slicers. These capsules are the way you get data to build the slicers. Of course, in a mature environment, these capsules will be created for you and you will copy them into your capsule. You will not develop them yourself. The next thing you need are your sales facts. Now, remember, there were internet orders and reseller orders, and these rows are in two different fact tables. We open up Sales Facts capsule, and the first one we look at is Reseller Facts. We click on Show Controls, and you can see the query that has been created on top of the AdventureWorks database. You have the product category, product subcategory, product, order date, territory, and then the reseller facts. You can see the constraints on the sales territory group sent to @AA, so it is going to inherit the value of that variable and send it to the database as a constraint. We've set the order date to just 2012 and 2013. Now we do Capture SQL and click on Show Data. The SQL is a little hard to read because it does not insert new lines, but you can hit pause and read the SQL for yourself. You can see it is normal generated SQL from the query tool. It has found 194 rows for the Pacific Sales Territory Group. It sends the rows into a spreadsheet, and we open the spreadsheet and here's that data. The other data that we need is internet sales facts. So when we click on Show Controls here, you have Fact Internet Sales as a fact table. This is a different fact table, but of course, the dimensions are the same and the constraints are the same, but it is a different fact table. If you're familiar with building dashboards where the facts come from different fact tables, you're familiar with the problems of doing that. What we do with Meta5 is we go and query individual fact tables and we go get the results, and then we join them together and send in to whatever the reporting tool is. In this case, Excel. When we hit Show Data, we get 245 items because obviously the number of rows should not exactly be the same. Then, in the capsule, there seems to be two streams of data and there seems to be a join. And I just want to mention to you that you do not need all of these spreadsheets in this capsule. We're putting the data into the spreadsheet so you can see the data at each step. So we get the reseller sales, we get internet sales, we then run the internet sales through a sort, and we sort them by columns A through M. We then run the internet sales through a sort, and we sort by columns A through M. So we're doing two sorts and putting the results into two spreadsheets. And then we're going to do a join. And this is the most difficult piece of building dashboards with lots of measures on the dashboard. Taking data from multiple fact tables, maybe from multiple source systems, and presenting them on one consistent dashboard. Now, this is a two-way join, and we have a two-way join and a five-way join. We have table 1 and table 2, and then output data. We click on Show Controls, and you can see the columns that are being used to join are A through M for each table. You see there is one heading row. You see the join type is outer join. You see that when a row is not present in both input spreadsheets, that the default value of 0 will be used. So where there are reseller sales but no internet sales, the amount for internet sales will be set to 0. So where there are internet sales but no reseller sales, the amount for the reseller sales will be set to 0. This ability for end users or report developers to join data streams from multiple fact tables or sources just like this is one of the big features of Meta5 and what makes Meta5 so useful. Also, in our first demonstration dashboard, we had 6 mini fact tables into the Power Pivot model. So you can build multiple fact tables into the Power Pivot model and have the dimensions around them and have the slicers slicing into multiple fact tables into the Power Pivot model. It is actually pretty cool. On the right-hand end of the out table, you can see how the two extended amounts are present from the two input fact tables. The join has been successful. Then it is going to put the join data into a spreadsheet. And you can see in the spreadsheet how we have the extended amount for both internet sales and reseller sales, which are coming from two different fact tables. Then we run it through a clean icon, and in this case this will do nothing. And then we run it through a compress icon to delete the heading row. And we have a heading spreadsheet. In this spreadsheet, we have the column headings we want to pass into Excel, and they can never change once set and sent to Excel. These headings will not change even if the Meta5 dictionary names are changed. We send the headings and the data into a final spreadsheet, and you can see the heading row is coming from the heading spreadsheet and not the query icons. In the end, there are 340 rows in the final spreadsheet. If we provided all the data for all the regions and included a slicer for region, we would have many more rows in this workbook. We would send out the workbook and each person would have to click on the slicer for the region. Instead of that, we create 3 Excel workbooks and send each workbook to just the people for that region. The data is going to go out of the capsule and through the out icon Sales Facts 01. When we option the arrow, you can see it is reading the data from the region name Sales Facts 01. Now you're seeing that the top set of the capsule are providing all the data we need for our slicers. For this report, we just need one sales fact table. Now, obviously what happens is after you've built a dashboard for the user, he will come back and ask for more data to be included in the dashboard. We all know that. So you might come back into this capsule and build another sales fact capsule to get more data to put on the dashboard. All these spreadsheets are sending the data to the collect data spreadsheet. So, what happens in collect data? Meta 5 spreadsheets have regions. And we'll go down and select the years region. You'll see the years are selected. Then we select the months dim. And then we select the countries dim. Then we select the product categories dim. And then we select the currency dim. And then we scroll right and select the Sales Facts 01. So this spreadsheet is collecting the data from all the other spreadsheets and placing them into regions named for the data. The regions will expand and contract depending on how much data is sent to the region. When we option the arrow for years, we see that it is copying data from the years spreadsheet and sending it to the years dim region in the collect data spreadsheet. We can see the same from the months arrow. We can see the same for the product categories arrow. And we can see the same for the Sales Fact 01 arrow. So now, all our data we need for our dashboard, all with the appropriate constraint set for each iteration of the capsule, is in the Collect Data spreadsheet. You can do this for any data from anywhere using Meta 5. So your users will tell you what data they want on their dashboards. Getting the data from the data warehouse or other sources and update it and to the spreadsheet every morning before 9 a.m. when the users are coming to work to see the dashboard, that's the hard part, right? That is your problem and it is quite a problem to solve. This problem of repeatedly running spreadsheets so that they're up to date at 9 a.m. with the data from close of business day yesterday is quite a problem. That is what we've just seen. This portion of the capsule does the work of collect the data for this spreadsheet. It solves that problem, and it uses the parameter of territory to collect just the data needed for this version of the spreadsheet. Now, the magic happens in getting this data into Excel. When we option the arrow, you're going to see something very cool. Notice that we're copying the data from the collect data spreadsheet and that all the region names are named. In the copy data to area, you see the Excel spreadsheet name. You see the regions names for the Excel spreadsheet match the region names in the collect data spreadsheet. So when this arrow runs, it copies all the data from the collect data spreadsheet into the Excel workbook. So let us look in the Excel workbook. Here is our years dim. Here is our months dim. Here's our currencies dim, our countries dim, our product categories dim, our sales facts. As an Excel user, you'd be familiar with how we set up regions inside Excel. To send data collected by Meta5 into Excel, all you have to do is transfer the data via the arrow region name to region name. It is that simple. Then, what does it do? The Excel spreadsheet has a name. We option the arrow and we put the name of the Excel worksheet into the outdated region name for the PC directory. It will write the Excel spreadsheet to the PC directory with the name specified here. The PC directory is set to a directory on the C drive as named in the directory name. And the directory name can be any drive, including a map drive. We are sending it to a C drive, a BIDA hosting. Notice that the spreadsheet name has no @ variable. This spreadsheet is going to be overwritten with each execution of the capsule. It is a temporary data workbook. So now you think, okay, that's the data prepared in a temporary data workbook. But how does the data get into the Power Pivot model and the dashboard? You do that exactly like this. This spreadsheet is called Example Report 01 template. So it is a template, it is not a finished report. Let us open it up. Okay, it looks like the finished dashboard. That's interesting. Let us go over to Power Pivot. Go to Manage Model. And what are we going to find in here? We look into existing connections. And here we are, Power Pivot Data Connections. Each of those connections is linked to a region in the source data workbook. Those regions are linked to the tables in the Power Pivot model, so this dashboard only contains the data in the Power Pivot model. It does not contain the data in the worksheets or regions. The Power Pivot model is also highly compressed to make it faster to send over networks. Then inside the template we had Power Pivot tables selecting the data from the Power Pivot models. We built a pivot table by category and a pivot table by country. And then we put some charts on them. Simple. Of course, the worksheets for the pivot tables can be hidden, so only the dashboard is visible. The data in this template is from Europe, France, Germany, and the United Kingdom. So obviously, you understand that the data is being queried and collected by Meta5 into collect data. It is being sent into the temporary data workbook. That temporary data workbook is linked to the template Power Pivot model in the dashboard. But how does Meta5 get the data from the temporary data workbook into the Power Pivot model and the template workbook and produce a final workbook? Well, we have this tool called iExcel, the Excel Integrator tool. I have a spreadsheet called dummy and it is going to send dummy data into the region name. Because I'm not sending any data into iExcel. I'm getting my data from the temporary data workbook. But that still leaves me with the question, how do I tell Excel how to get the data from the temporary data Excel workbook? You do that using iExcel, which is a magic piece of software. This is what makes Meta5 a really cool tool for Excel reporting. It has lots and lots of options. iExcel is a huge piece of software. All I need to do is put -rad in the advanced commands parameter. This will cause iExcel to read the template workbook and refresh the data, which will cause Excel to reread the data from the temporary data workbook. It will also refresh all the charts in the workbook ready for the user to open the workbook. And we've designed the workbooks in such a way that they do not reload the data on open, they reload the data into the Power Pivot model on the first slicer click. iExcel will then save the newly created workbook to the final workbook. If we open this up, this is another spreadsheet. And you notice this is one for Australia because that's the last workbook that was produced by the prior execution of the capsule. It is not the workbook for Europe, which is the template. And then some more Meta 5 magic. When we option the arrow, we see that the name of the spreadsheet is EX01 Sample Report 01 Final, and it has the variable @AA at the end. This means it will have the region name in the actual Excel file name. So now we have the final Excel file name and we need to know where to send it to. In the PC directory icon, you name the full path of the OneDrive on this computer in the directory name parameter. In this example, you can see that it is the OneDrive for BIDA and is the public portion of the OneDrive. You can see the whole name on the screen. You can see at the end of the name is @AA, which is the region. So the final dashboard will be placed into the region name folder on the OneDrive. This will also include the names of individual people if you wish to. You could send customized reports for individual people via OneDrive. Just to prove this is what it does, we'll go to the File Manager. You can see the name of the folder is the name as it was in the PC directory icon. You can see the region name is included in the path and included in the name of the spreadsheet itself, just for demonstration purposes. Now, just to prove to you that this works, I'm going to delete the spreadsheets and then run the capsule to put them back. So no spreadsheets in any of the folder anymore. Now we're going to run the capsule to recreate the spreadsheets. I'll hit pause on the video so you don't have to watch the capsule run. Okay, so the capsule has completed. Let us go back to the folders. You can see that the Europe workbook is back in the folder with the current time. We can open the report and you can see it has the data for France, Germany and the United Kingdom. You can click on multiple currencies and click on euros and it will update the dashboard. Click on GBP and the dashboard updates. You can see the date and time for North America, and you can see the date and time for Pacific. To prove the dashboards have been sent to our portal, I'll open up our SharePoint portal. You can see the report for Europe was sent about a minute ago. You can see the timing of the arrival of the workbooks for North America and Pacific as well. So you can see the capsule ran and the reports were sent to the OneDrive and were then distributed to our SharePoint portal. So let's go back to the inside of the capsule. Right now, @AA is set to Pacific. This portion of the capsule to collect data and send it into the collect data spreadsheet has the ability to literally get data from anywhere. You can get data from websites, logs, other databases, spreadsheets, any data from anywhere. You do not have to have your data in a data warehouse. You can get data from virtually any data source at all. Meta 5 can read just about everything and anything. And if you ever come up against a data source that's not supported, Meta 5 can add support for -v. You can clean the data up and there are many tools to perform many functions on the data, including statistics if you wish. and anything that can run on the host computer can also be called to process data inside Meta5. Most importantly, you can get data from anywhere and integrate it into these applications and send it forward into a spreadsheet in a parameterized, repeatable batch processing mode. So you don't have to go back to IT people and beg them to put the data you need into an SSIS cube to get it into your report. Okay? The big beauty of Meta5 is that I can go and collect data from anywhere and send it into a spreadsheet. For people who want reports and dashboard in spreadsheets, this is a big feature. This makes populating your Power Pivot models much easier than any other way you have of doing this today. The way that these capsules are run is via the BIDA scheduler. Today, we have one customer who is using the BIDA ETL software models to populate data from their ERP into the data warehouse. They do this via the scheduler that runs each night. And at the end of the batch, the scheduler runs a set of capsules to generate Excel reports, and it puts the reports onto a shared drive mapped as a drive letter. The BIDA software is doing end-to-end BI support, producing Excel reports and dashboards, with Meta5 as the software that takes the data from the data warehouse and populates the Excel workbooks. There is no need for SSIS in that environment. This makes report development and support much faster, cheaper, and easier. Now, what I'm going to do is run this capsule in front of you so you can see it run. I'll also open up Task Manager so you can see Excel is running. Now, please remember, this is a small development machine running Excel 32-bit, so it runs a little slowly. So here you can see Excel is running and Meta5 is sending the data into Excel. Now it has finished putting data into the temporary Excel data workbook, and it is now putting the data into the dashboard. Obviously, Excel single threads, so you have to be a little careful about how you set up job processing to produce the reports. You can have the capsules run their own dedicated capsule servers if you want to parallelize processing. You saw that it did not take Meta5 very long to go in and collect the data. And then it takes a little while to push the data into the Excel spreadsheets. Okay, just to summarize, what I wanted to show you today was a very detailed drill-down look on how do you actually build Excel dashboards which will collect data from many different places using the Meta5 software. I also wanted to show you how those dashboards can be parameterized for different regions, so only the data needed is in the dashboard for the user who will be using it. We wanted to show you how those dashboards could be delivered to different people in different places via the OneDrive feature. That is what we've demonstrated to you today. By using Meta5, what you'll be able to do is build dashboards better, cheaper, and faster than any other way. Given that you're going to be building Excel dashboards for a very long time out into the future, building them better, cheaper, faster, and easier to maintain to save time and money is a good investment. It will reduce the cost of maintenance for all those Excel spreadsheets you have out there for years and years to come. Now, as I said in the beginning, this is a very detailed demonstration. This demonstration is for those of you who have the job of building Excel reports and dashboards. This is for those of you where your business users come to you and say, Mihai, I have this new dashboard I would like to build. Would you build this dashboard for me, please? And would you put it into the daily schedule to make sure that it is delivered to all the people who need it by 9 a.m., please? That is who this video is for. If that's your job, building Excel reports and dashboards, what we showed you today is a better, faster, cheaper way of building those Excel reports and dashboards using the power of Power Query and Meta5. You can build your Excel reports and dashboards regardless of where your data is. you don't need one of those big and expensive data warehouse projects to get started. Though, of course, having a data warehouse helps. If you do have a data warehouse, that's a bonus. But if you don't have a data warehouse, you can get started today with Meta 5 and Excel in producing reports and dashboards faster, cheaper, and better than any other way with data from anywhere you need to get it from. If you feel you're spending too much time building Excel reports and dashboards, this is a better, faster, and cheaper way of building Excel reports and dashboards. Okay? Now, if you'd like to contact me, please use our contact page. If you're still listening, thank you very much for listening to my video all the way through. I really appreciate that. So with that, thank you very much for listening, and bye for now.